Hi, continuing on from 3D printing, sanding, and prepping this custom Mandalorian helmet, we're finally through to the painting stage. I start off by spray painting the inside of the helmet with a dark colour to clear out the primers that got inside. Then cover the visor hole with some masking tape and use silver base paint that will be necessary for the damage to show later. The silver will imitate the look of bare metal. The candy red paint I will be using also works best with this base colour. I won't be mentioning this going forward, but of course I wait for the paint to dry before doing any of the steps. Due to there being multiple colours being used on this helmet, I decided to do the red first. So have to cover up all of the parts of the helmet with the masking tape. By the way, I highly recommend using frog tape instead of the usual masking tape. It is more expensive, but the results are well worth it. The paint lines are just much cleaner. For the damage, I'm using liquid latex, also known as art masking fluid. I think they're the same thing. After painting, it's super easy to peel off and reveal the base color underneath, recreating the look of scratches and battle damage. I apply it using a paintbrush, trying to emulate rock chips and blaster fire at the helmet. Less is usually more, but I went quite heavy on the damage with this build. I added another layer of the base color just to make sure that the red comes through right, then spray the candy red. Candy paints are a very particular type of paint whereby how heavy you spray will determine the darkness of it. Start away from the helmet, go over it and finish away too. The paint will also look completely different now to the final version, as the color really comes through after the clear coat is applied. I unwrap some parts of the helmet and scratch off the liquid latex. To make sure it comes off fully, I use the same tape to get loose bits to stick to it. Takes a minute, but you don't want any loose bits remaining as they could ruin the surface finish later. The cheeks will be a slightly different colour to the other grey parts of the helmet, so they are the only section that remains uncovered. Then repeat the process for the battle damaging by applying liquid latex onto the sections to be painted. I press fit the bourdon plug before painting, it's tight enough to not need any glue. I chose this slightly darker grey for the cheeks. Then I repeat the same process of unwrapping, covering up the painted sections of the helmet and applying battle damage. By the way, using a bin bag how I do saves a lot of masking tape, so I would highly recommend it. Next, using the gunmetal paint to spray paint the dome and the back of the helmet. It's a metallic looking grey colour that I absolutely love. Doing the final unwrapping really does feel like Christmas. Now cleaning up that liquid latex and look at all these bits. There it is now, looking a little bit muted, but already great. For additional battle damage effect, I used a very coarse 60 grit sandpaper and just attacked the helmet. To get the colour popping, I'm using a 1K clear coat lacquer. Shake it well, and in fact all spray cans must be shook at all times to prevent settling. Spray looking to avoid any major build-up of the clear coat, as some are quite prone to running. The key is that you want full coverage, but without it being excessive, which causes a leak. Really just a matter of trial and error, don't panic. I ended up with some excess being built up around the eye section due to tape that was covering the inside, so I gently cut it off. Now is a great time to attach the side ears. Roughen up the paint surface, cut into the paint to generate a bit more grip for the epoxy, and then apply it to both sides. This particular design can also be used with magnets on the ears, but I didn't want to use them this time around. The helmet looks a little bit too clean for a battle damaged helmet, so using some shades of brown and black acrylic paints, I proceeded to weather it. Just mix the paints with water, make them super runny, and dab away with paper towels. Some say dab, some say wipe, I use a little bit of both, just slowly trying to build up layers that imitate dirt and grime. There's no science to it to the best of my knowledge, so whatever feels right. Then it could be left like that, but I don't want the dirt to come off, so I seal it with an extra layer of clear coat. I think it also makes the colors look neater. For the visor, I sketched it out on a piece of paper pressed against the inside of the helmet and transferred over to the 3mm sheet of tinted acrylic that I then cut out. Do not remove the film to avoid scratches. Visor goes in a baking tray with some baking paper, get the oven on fan, 150 degrees Celsius, load it in and set for 7 minutes. Then set the helmet down and take the softened acrylic out and mold it to the helmet. When it hardens again, apply some double-sided Velcro and stick some to the inside of the helmet too. Padding is then spread on the inside of the helmet to make it more comfortable to put on. Now here's the finished helmet. It's a long journey, but the key is to have fun, and I think that making a helmet like this is very interesting and makes for a great combination of 3D printing and prop making. Getting something like this out of one simple spool of filament. And many hours of work and spray cans. Well, in fact, there's a lot more that goes into it as you just saw, but hey. Thank you for coming on this journey. If you enjoyed it, then please like the video and tell me in the comments section what you're thinking of making next. Or, to be honest, just share some projects. Would love to hear from all of you. Take care.